Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Nitro Racing League here on the channel for the final race of the season 9 in the Nitro Racing League, and I think my 5th season here, and we are in the championship for battle here today to go for a championship at Phoenix Raceway against three competitors, of course, between myself, Andrew Wisdom in the 9, my teammate of Jonathan in the 19, as well as Connor in the 24, and unfortunately we were the worst qualifier of the final four. I started all the way down here in P12. Jonathan was just on that row in front of us, and then Andrew and Connor, they were on row number 1. So of course we're just keeping an eye on myself, Jonathan, Connor, and Andrew, and nobody else we're really keeping an eye on in this race here as we came through at a turn 2. But there was definitely a lot of interesting things that happened throughout this race that really spiced things up here and there for some of these final four competitors. Now as we go down into turn 3 on this opening lap, the setup I was running was preset number 4, and it made it really bad on the short run. My car was awful on the short run, so I was hopeful right off the bat. I realized within 5 laps I had nothing on the short run, so I was really hopeful that it was going to come down to a long run to end this race. But of course we'll have to wait and see what happens now as we go down this back straightaway running in P12, and I was just straight up struggling to make anything happen here in these opening few laps now as we came through, though moving up to P11 as we came through to lap 6, trying to follow the 43 of Eddie. Now as I got to the inside of the 22 of Durham, he just moved to the 22 Penske car, heading into next season. Of course, takes it over this week as well, and he saw some contact between himself and I. He was driving so hard here. It was like he was racing for a championship himself. I have heard he does not like me, so maybe that plays a part into that, how he was racing me right there. Now as we head down this back straightaway, I did clear him briefly, but we would just continue battling it out into turn 3. He actually drives into the back of me. I don't know if it was on his screen. There was definitely some bubbles, of course, in this race, especially a short track racing. The bubble, you always got to watch out for it now. So you got to kind of give people a break here and there when it comes down to that now as we go down into turns 1. So Andrew was still out in front leading the way now as I'm trying to make this outside work, and we were making it work pretty well here now as we were only running though in P10 now as we would continue in this fight with the 22 now as we come through into the dogleg. You see right there, he cuts right across the side of me, drives into my door, and nearly leads to a bit of an incident, but fortunately we keep it going in the right direction. And now back down to P11 we go, and we have to try and continue to work our way forwards now, as it wasn't until about lap 17, 18 to when we finally started to get this car to roll into my advantage. And you're going to see just how much ground I was able to gain once we got going on a longer run here in stage 1. Now as we get to the back of the 18 of Bryce, we look to the inside of him. His final time, I believe, in that 18 car. I'm staying with Joe Gibbs Racing in the 11 car for next season. But for everybody else, I got no idea where they're going. I do know where Matt in the 20 car is going, but I don't even know who's going to drive the 20 car next season. Like, they probably have told me, but I haven't paid attention now as we go down into turns 1. So we moved up into the 8th position here as we came through out of the corner, closing in on the back of Tyler. He got really loose. Thank goodness I moved to the outside because he actually lost it and hit the inside wall. So we move up to P7, and then Matt decides to move out of my way and let me go. So next thing you know, we're up to P6 all of a sudden. So the car was driving so bad on the short run, but here we are gaining some time now that the run is getting longer. Then I actually realized a little bit later as actually the 24, a Final Four competitor of Connor, had an incident all by himself. No caution came out because it was a single car incident, but I realized that our tires at this pace that I'm running are not going to make it to the end of the stage. And knowing the way Nitro is, a bunch of drivers are going to try and make it, and we're not going to have a caution. So if I pit and go a lap down, I could completely give away a championship already here in stage 1. So I decided to just back my pace way down within the final 14 laps or so of the stage, and you're going to see how far I dropped off because I ended up letting the 95 and the 22 go as I continued to save my tires. And the 24 car, Connor, a Final Four competitor, decided he wasn't going to be able to make it to the end of the stage, so he came to the pit lane and ended up giving up a lap here. Now as we came through to the final lap now in stage 1, the 18 of Bryce, he actually blew a tire and went around. Andrew Wisdom also would end up blowing a tire down the back straightaway into turns 3, I believe it was, so he would end up giving up the stage victory to the 19 of Jonathan, as I'm just hanging on for dear life, just hoping that this tire doesn't blow now as we come through out of turns 2. So it would end up being Jonathan in the 19 winning the first and opening stage of this Final Four race now as we go down into turns 3, trying to hang on now 2% on that right rear, down to 1% as we came through out of turns 4, and we crossed the line to get P5. So we just barely make it to the end of stage 1, fortunately now, as we will get P5. As you see, the final 4 currently. Jonathan P1, Andrew P2, myself P5, and then Connor a little bit down the order, and he is going to be stuck a lap down going into stage 2 because he does not get the lucky dog. So already after just one stage, Connor's championship hopes get thrown into the garbage, at least what it looks like right now. We'll have to see if he can battle his way back now, as it would be Christian in the 41 getting the lucky dog, and Connor was like 4th in line for the lucky dog at the moment, so he was not in a good spot at all right there at the end of stage 1. Blake is now out front, accidentally staying out, by the way, so he would decide to pull over right away, but here we go for the start of stage 2, and actually at the start of the stage, the 95, the 9 car, and a few others, I can't remember if there was any more behind us or not, but they all broke a rule of cutting down under the yellow line before getting to the start-finish line on a restart, and that was against the Nitro rule, so all of a sudden, we had the 24 trapped 1 lap down, while another Final 4 competitor of Andrew just broke a rule, so he would have to come down the pit lane to serve a drive-through penalty, and that would also put him in a position where he is going to get forced a lap down, because the way it works in this game is you actually end up stopping in your pit box for 3 seconds even if you take no adjustments at all, or I guess tires and whatnot, or fuel. So he would end up getting put 1 lap down, and now that I'm looking back at the footage, I realized that actually nobody called Jay for a penalty, but clearly Jay broke the rule as well. And I didn't even notice that until just watching now, but like I said, he never got called for anything, so he would continue on his way now, as I would actually get up into the fight. So we were now P2 in the Final 4 battle now, as I would actually get past Jay. He would not put up a fight. He decided to let me go and battle it out with Jonathan here now, as we came through out of turns 2 on lap 11, and now we were to the inside of Jonathan, and I told Jonathan, I just said, I want to make sure I at least lead a lap here in the championship race. So we actually got into quite the scrap here of just battling it out for this front position, which was a little bit silly from us because we had an opportunity to just drive away, but I really wanted to lead, and so did he now as we go down into turns 1. So we came through to turns 4 on lap 13, coming to 14, we finally lead that lap, but the battle wasn't over. I said I wanted to just lead a lap, but I also wanted to clear him at the same time and just try to drive away, so we end up scrapping it out side by side here for the next few laps. Now as we came through to the end of lap 14, we actually go 3 wide here with the 34 car, who is now a lap down. We end up passing him, clearing him as he pulled out of that battle there into turns 1. I slide up the track nearly into the side of the 19 now as we continue side by side, but then I said, you know what, we're losing way too much time here. It's way too silly to be battling like this, even for a championship in stage 2, so I end up letting him go, but we rode around in second place for the next 20 laps now as the tire icon had come on, so I decided to come into the pit lane here on lap 35, and a very easy call to make, of course, 2 cans of fuel as well as 4 fresh tires. So that's all we would take, and we would get back going. So we came in P2, and we would cycle out actually eventually in P1 because we were able to get in front of Jonathan, who had pitted a lap later, and it makes a big difference. But now he is going to have the advantage over me though with the tires, as now Christian, he was actually out front in front of us here, as he had pitted much earlier than us. Now as the 8 car of Venom, he pulls over and just lets us go generously now as we go down into turns 3. But myself and Jonathan were quickly closing in on the 41 of Christian now as we get right to the back of Christian here as we came through to turns 2. He did not care there was a championship battle going on, I could tell very quick. So we end up getting stuck battling him now as Jonathan gets brought up into the mix here now as we came through out of the corner. So less than 10 laps to go now in stage 2, and now here we are side by side with Jonathan trying to get past that 41 as we go down into turns 3. And honestly, you're at such a disadvantage if you're on that bottom that if you can just kind of control that second line, you're in pretty good shape now as we head down to 8 laps to go. And as we go down into turns 1, myself and Jonathan actually come together a little bit there, and then the 41 gets a hit there from the side of the 19 after I had hit the 19 into him. So now we come through out of turns 2, still side by side with Jonathan, but we clear the 41 and move on with the stage now as we go down into the corner. But I really didn't have anything for Jonathan right here. That 1 lap really does make a big difference on tires, and you're going to see, because by the time we came through to the final lap, he had opened up the gap to a few car lengths, and he actually definitely had more in the car, but he was just not pushing the car too hard because he did not want to put the 18 of Bryce a lap down, and he was just riding behind Bryce to make sure he could stay on the lead lap, and I was closing in quick in the final lap, and I was trying to put the pressure on the 19 to put that 18 a lap down, but we come through to turns 4, not close enough, and we get P2 here in stage 2, so a lot better performance overall than that first stage. But Andrew ends up getting the lucky dog, and he made a huge drive. I think he said he was 14 seconds behind the Lucky Dog car or driver originally, and he gained all that time up somehow and managed to get into the spot to get the Lucky Dog going into the third and final stage, which meant the 24 of Connor still trapped one lap down going into the third and final stage of the championship race here at Phoenix Raceway. So one stage remains in the season. Andrew, myself, Connor, as well as Jonathan getting ready to battle it out for a championship. Now, as we are underway, I'm looking for my second championship in the Nitro Racing League. So is Andrew, Connor, and Jonathan. They're both looking for their first one. And the one championship I won quite a few seasons back, I felt like I definitely didn't deserve to win that one. It was interesting. I felt like Andrew deserved to win the championship I ended up winning, and I deserved the championship Andrew ended up winning last season. So here is a good opportunity, hopefully, for us to both battle it out for a championship that I think both of us are deserving of today now, as I feel like everybody in the Final Four this time around was deserving of a title now as we come through out of turn 2, trying to battle it out with Jonathan here on the outside. Andrew had to start at the very back of the field, getting that Lucky Dog, so he had some work to do, but we would end up clearing the 19 of Jonathan out of turn 2 now with less than 60 laps to go, but Jonathan would actually put the fight back to my inside now on lap 106. Now Andrew had fought his way up. Now there's a little bit of contact between myself and the 19 there as we come through out of turn 2, trying to keep it off the wall. Then I swerve down. I see the 9 coming. I know how much speed he has got. I let him go to the outside, which was a silly mistake on my part now, because that outside just rolls so much better on the exit of the corner as we exit turns 4. So now 50 laps to go here at Phoenix Raceway, and we got the only 3 championship drivers that are on the lead lap running. 1, 2, 3. Andrew would have gotten to us a lot quicker, but the car behind us was driving him so hard. Now as we come through out of turns 2, a little bit of contact with the 19 of Jonathan as we are right into that championship battle at this point now as we go down into turns 3. So side by side in front of us now as we came through out of turns for the 41. Like I said, just like stage 2, he did not care at all that there was a championship battle going on here. It definitely was frustrating at times, but we would end up getting back past him now as we came through out of turns 2. So we moved back up into P3, but at this point, you see Andrew and Jonathan were quite a ways out in front of us now, a good half second, close to, as we go down into turns 3. So approaching the final 40 laps or so of this season now as they continue to battle side by side, but we would end up running them down, getting into the battle, and that definitely made me more confident knowing how good of a long run car I had. I was just hoping at this point, if there's going to be a caution, 120 laps in would be the latest I want that, and that's 3 laps from now. So I was hoping that it was just going to stay green at this point, and that was going to be my best opportunity to be able to win this championship. You see, though, I actually give up a bit of a gap here in the closing laps on 130 because I was backing my pace down to make sure I saved my tires enough to pit as late as possible compared to the 19 and the 9, because I knew if I pit earlier than these guys, then I'm likely not going to have a chance even if it does go to a long run. But if we pit maybe on the same lap or just after them, then it'll be an even playing field now, or an advantage to myself if we pit a little bit later now, as the tire icon had come on lap 127 as we exit turn 4, still running P3 in this championship battle. The 24 car was still fighting to be in that Lucky Dog position, and he was in that spot. We came through to lap 131, now 8% on that right rear, and I know, like I said, if I pit before the 19 and the 9, no matter what, my championship chances would come to an end. So I was making sure I just save as much as I can. It was now 7% on that right rear tire, and we only had like 25 laps to go at this point, so we were running out of time here in Phoenix now, as I knew at this point the way everything had worked out, it's going to come down to still a relatively short run. So we come through to lap 134. I gave it more time saving, but we all come into the pit lane on the same lap as I try to get a little bit closer there, and I decided to make a wedge adjustment. I went down just a little bit on the wedge, and then I put the right rear tire pressure up just a little bit, but something that big was happening here was there was a crash ongoing when we were on the pit lane, bringing out a caution, and that would allow myself, Andrew, Jonathan to still come out 1, 2, 3, but the caution being out, the 24 would get the Lucky Dog, and that means all of the Final 4 drivers officially are back on the lead lap, and Connor has an opportunity to win the championship. We come up to the choose cone, and the 19 and the 9 choose the bottom. I end up choosing the top for what could be the final restart of the day. Pace speed, by the way, was 70 miles per hour. Jonathan was going like 50 there for a moment. But I was baffled. He chose the bottom, and I was very happy that Andrew chose the bottom as well because I felt really comfortable on the top. Now, as if I've learned anything from iRacing so far, it's how to get good restarts. Now, as I get a tremendous launch right there as we head down this front straightaway. That is the only thing I've learned from iRacing that has benefited me, is just getting good restarts now as we go down into turns 1 and 2. And sure enough, we get the restart potentially of our Nitro Racing career because we clear the 19 and the 9. We're up to P1, but Andrew immediately puts the fight to me. I knew we were in trouble being on the short run of only about 14-15 laps to the end of this race now as we head down towards turns 1. So Andrew close by now, as this would be a huge moment right here on lap 143 into turns 1. Andrew actually clips me right there in the quarter panel, not on his screen. It was a bubble, and we actually hit again, and that was the moment that allowed him to just kind of mess up my car a little bit and get clear, and that would be the big moment of the race. Now as we go down into turn 3, I immediately knew that our chances were probably over because of the fact that I don't have a short run car. I give it everything right here trying to get back to him, but I mean, there was no fault on anybody right there, Andrew. It was just a straight up bubble that got him into me. He did not mean to hit me whatsoever, but it was really unfortunate. I was definitely aggravated, and you saw me kind of swerve at him because I was trying to run into him at the time, but it was frustrating. But we continue to move on now with 9 laps to go, and I realize our championship hopes had now faded away now as we are within 4 car lengths or so, and we're not losing time on the 9. We actually gained a little bit in the last couple laps here, but I just couldn't get close enough now as it's 1, 2, 3 for the championship drivers, and then the 24 had actually climbed up into P4 as well. So it was 1, 2, 3, 4 for the championship 4 now as we're within the final couple laps. We come through to 2 laps to go, still about the same gap between myself and the 9. I just couldn't get close enough, and I mean, at least we were at this point now holding the same pace, but of course, that's not going to get us anywhere now as I was doing everything I could. I nearly spin myself out there as we came through out of turn 2, and that opens the door for the 19. I knew it was over at this point as we go down this back straightaway. Jonathan up my inside as we go down into turn 3 for the final time, or now coming to the final lap, I mean, as we come through out of turn 4. White flag in the air for Andrew Wisdom now as we head down this front straightaway, trying to cross over the 19 of Jonathan as we go down into turns 1, and I decide I'm not going to hold back. I'm going to try and move the 19 out of my way here if I can. Now as we come through, sliding again out of turn 2 to his inside down the back straightaway for the final time. I decided to pull in behind him because I know I can't move him on the inside, so I line him up for a punt here into turn 3, and it wouldn't end up being enough because he stays right in front of me. But Andrew Wisdom wins his 2nd Nitro Cup Series championship as we come through to cross the line for a 3rd place finish here in the race and in the championship. So a little bit unfortunate how it ended, but congratulations, of course, to Andrew. We've had our run-ins in the past and during this season as well. And I know we will continue to have run-ins in the future with Andrew and myself together. But, I mean, overall, a tremendous amount of respect to Andrew. He's one of my good friends, and congratulations to him on the championship. He worked hard for it. Both of us end the season, actually, with 7 wins. And I've said it for a while now, like, with the way the format is, I look at wins more importantly than a championship at this point, especially after how last season ended. So I was happy overall with the season. It was a good season. But as always, if you guys enjoyed this episode, you do know what to do. Nitro, the Cup Series, is not going to be back for a while now. I think it's going to be a few months until the next season starts, if I'm not mistaken, sometime in like May or something. I can't remember. But I'll definitely keep you guys updated, of course. And make sure to follow the Nitro account on Twitter. We're going to have a social media page set up for next season, as well as a potential new YouTube channel if they allow me now. But as always, like I said, if you guys enjoyed, you know what to do. And I'd like to thank you all for taking the time out of your day to watch this episode. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great day, everybody.